you all have the capacity to imagine how you want to be heard more effectively than without being unscripted or censored.
When it comes to control of those who want to protest the RNC, there are a lot of people here also focusing on how we preserve civil liberties and free speech rights. We've got a whole panel of people who are free speech defenders here in the Twin Cities. What have you learned from our experience in New York? It wasn't pretty.
We've learned the need for people to really be proactive in terms of we're expecting large numbers of arrests. We've also really trying to work against the whole picture of protest as somehow a threat to security, and that's how law enforcement wants to define it. I think that's how they defined it going into New York, and we're trying to resist that, to put the politics back into a convention that the mayor of St. Paul says is just about business. It's about whining and dining the corporate media, the delegates, but we say that the right of citizens to speak up and to protest, to not get arrested and to sit in detention for 3 or 4 days, to not confront tasers, is really part of that.
What do you think, what should be the role of the media in framing this relationship, the responsibility of the protesters and of the police? How should that be discussed in community?
So far, the whole media frame locally, it's not quite as bad as some of the tabloids in New York, screaming about the anarchists threatening to disrupt the city. But the frame of the media is still that the protests are somehow aberrant and a threat to the process of bringing the convention here to the Twin Cities.
I mean, it's not as if we don't know what journalists should be asking. In New York, we learned that the police, it wasn't just a matter of crowd control. They were inciting protests, they were inciting violence, they were captured on videotape by activists and organizers, literally posing as protesters, provoking violent incidents, and then a few minutes later the same pseudo-protester appears as a cop, making an arrest down the street. Why do you think people are so determined to express themselves? The RNC, if you watch the nightly news, it'll be a fairly dreary event, why pay this attention to it? Why is it important?
Because I think it's really important for the people, for the masses, to own the tools of expression. And especially in the digital age, there's so much more of an opportunity for us to do community organizing, even in a split second. I mean, if you upload a PSA on YouTube, you've already reached millions and millions of people. I think we're now recognizing the importance of making sure that the people that are not part of the institutionalized media are being heard as much as Live from Main Street is doing this too.